Hey guys, it's Mega. How's it going in lockdown? So today I wanted to talk to you guys about carbon offsetting. If you're not familiar with the concept, it's basically the idea that when you take a flight, you release a lot of carbon into the atmosphere, and the idea is then you pay towards a project that either stores carbon or brings carbon out of the atmosphere. So for example, usually a popular one is tree planting projects, or charities that will buy a plot of forest to make sure that it doesn't get cut down and keep storing the carbon. But it can also cover a wide range of projects. So for example, there's some that provide more fuel efficient stoves to homes in Kenya. Before all COVID stuff, it was definitely a heated debate in the tourism sector. And I mean, it still is now, but obviously with less flights, it's kind of gone a bit on the back burner. But once we do start flying again, it will definitely still be a hot topic. So the idea of carbon offsetting became a lot more popular from things like Ryanair offering an extra fee to offset your flights, to Coldplay not going on tour until they can become carbon neutral, and even led to, in Sweden, flight shaming being like a serious deal. There are arguments for and against carbon offsetting. So a main argument against it is that it doesn't actually remove the cause of putting the carbon into the atmosphere, which is flying. Some people also call it a dangerous distraction. It kind of removes the guilt of flying and makes you feel like, oh, it's okay to fly. People also argue that it's difficult to really tell from these projects how much carbon is going to be stored and saved from the environment. So the argument for it is, for frequent flyers like business flyers, it means that they can try and reduce their carbon footprint if they have to travel for work. It also makes people more aware of how much of a carbon footprint their flying creates, and it provides funding to some really cool projects. My feeling is, I think at the moment it's better than nothing. We haven't really got a better option right now because fuel on flights isn't taxed, and that is why often the same journey is more expensive on a train than it is flying, even though flying it puts a lot more carbon into the atmosphere. I think until governments properly tax the kerosene that flights use, carbon offsetting is probably our best option. So the whole point of me talking about this was I wanted to try and calculate my carbon footprint of my travels in 2019, and I'm going to try and carbon offset them. So I had a really epic year last year. It was definitely the best year of my life. I luckily got to do 3 business trips and then 2 personal trips. I usually go on 1 holiday a year, so for me it was just absolutely incredible. I got to tick off some really awesome stuff on my bucket list. I went camel riding in the Sahara Desert. I met the lemurs of Madagascar. I glided through the backwaters of Kerala. I zip-lined through a rainforest. And my ultimate favourite, I got to see the magical Northern Lights. But I wanted to know, what is the carbon cost of ticking off my bucket list last year? So what I decided to do is use a carbon footprint calculator online. I'm going to calculate my carbon footprint without my flights included, and then with my flights included. I'm going to calculate my carbon footprint based on when life was normal and we weren't in lockdown. So I don't eat meat, I cycle to work, so I hope it's okay. Let's find out. So I'm going to use the WWF Carbon Calculator because it's really quick to finish and it's also very visually stimulating. So the survey has some really interesting questions. First question, how would you describe your diet? I am vegetarian. It asks you about how you heat your home, if you leave devices on standby when you're finished with them, how regularly you buy new electronics or clothes, if you have a pet. So this is the important question. In the last year, how many return flights have you made to the following regions? And then they've set out the regions based on kilometres distance from London. So the flight question, the first time, I'm going to skip this and not include my flights. So what are my results? My results are 63% next to the 2020 target by UK government. So I'm not perfect, but I think that's pretty good. Then I decided to take the quiz again, and this time added in my flights. I'm going to see how much this bumps up my carbon footprint. So I took 1 return flight within a 1,250 kilometre distance, 1 in 2,500 kilometres, and 1 9,000 kilometres radius. And also 2 return flights within a 5,500 kilometre radius. It's quite a lot of flights. So I've now added in my flights, and now it's asking me, do I offset them? So I'm going to click no. So how much did this increase my carbon footprint by? Oh wow! My carbon footprint is now 149% next to the 2020 target by the UK government. That's a total increase of 86%. What? I can't believe that. I mean, I knew that flights had a bad carbon footprint, but I just can't believe how much it's increased it. And the fact that flights aren't paying proper fuel tax for that. I mean, that's crazy. So the results when I included carbon offsetting my flights went back down to 63%. So according to WWF, it can completely remove the carbon cost of flying for you. So what I've decided to do is carbon offset my flights. So there's a lot of carbon offset companies out there. You just have to do a little research, but make sure they've got a QAS certificate. That means that its quality standards meet ITA, which is the International Air Transport Association. So I calculate the cost of offsetting my flights from 2019, and the cost was just under £100. £100 is the cost of a return flight to a lot of places. But it's good to get the conversation going. That's why I think carbon offsetting is really important. It gets people thinking about their carbon emissions when flying, and they'll either decide to carbon offset or they'll decide to get a train instead. Until we can really tackle the problem of taxing flights and making sure that we pay towards the carbon that's emitted, I think carbon offsetting is a good alternative. Why don't you try calculating your carbon footprint? The results might shock you. I'm going to be doing a whole separate video on carbon offsetting, so look out for that. Otherwise, I'd love to know what you think. Please comment below. And of course, subscribe and like this video, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And also check out my website and blog. Alright, thanks guys, bye!